Hi, my name's Erin Johnson and I'm the founder of Artworks Fine Art Studio. Today our lesson is going to be on how to draw an elephant from a photograph. If you've worked with me before, you know that what you'll need is a pencil, an eraser, a couple pieces of paper, and possibly a scrap piece of paper. Let's get warmed up. So before we get started on our actual drawing, it's very important to warm up when you're doing a drawing. I relate it to sports a lot. You want to warm up your muscles before getting started on your final picture. To warm up, what I like to do is just start drawing some simple shapes. Maybe some ovals, some circles, some squares, some triangles. And as you can see, I go over lines multiple times just to kind of get a feel and for that shape. Just have fun with it. Draw different shapes, some rectangles. They don't have to be perfect. You are just, again, getting ready and warming up your hand muscles. One little tip that you can do is take a piece of scrap paper and rest it on the paper so you don't get any pencil marks on your hand. Another little thing you can do is what's called the infinity drill. This really gets you warmed up well, along with any odd kind of shapes that you feel like you want to present. So before we start working together, I want to show you how to approach a drawing. So please set down your pencil and eraser, and we're going to look at this image together. So when you start a drawing, the first most important thing is to find your simple shapes. And if I'm looking at this image, the biggest shape that I see is actually the horizon line. It separates the sky from the ground, and by adding this in, you really place the elephant and you can see where all the other simple shapes will go. When you approach a drawing, you do want to work large to small. So find big shapes and then slowly find your smaller shapes. So if I'm looking at this elephant, it's helpful to see where this line hits on the elephant, and then I see this large kind of circle for the belly right in here. The next shape I see is probably in the head, another oval. Then I can kind of connect the two. And then we'll look at some of the extremities, like the legs. I see a soft triangle here, a soft triangle here, and here, here, and again in the back legs, almost like a triangle, a soft rectangle, another triangle. In the trunk, I kind of see a triangle here, a rectangle, and another shape. It's important every time a body part changes position or angles that you find a separate shape for that. Then kind of a little triangle here, and a little oval there. Oops, I almost forgot these tusks and the ears. The more information that you have within this first piece of the drawing is helpful later on. There we go. That seems like a great way to get started. Okay, so now we're ready to get started. Please grab your paper, your pencil, and your eraser, and we will start with the drawing. Like I said, when we first start, we want to start with the horizon line. Again, you can kind of measure with your fingers or even using the pencil if your paper is about the same size. So this paper is about the same size as this full sheet of paper. So if I measure down to about here, I know that my horizon line is about here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and draw the full line across because it helps place my elephant. Now, I'm going to go a little darker in this tutorial, but like I've said in the past, it's extremely important to draw as lightly as you possibly can because you're going to be making mistakes. You're also going to be erasing a lot of these lines later, and if they're too dark, it will be impossible to erase. So let's get started on the next largest shape. If you see the big rear of the elephant. Now you'll notice it goes up above kind of the horizon line to about there and down below to about here. If you need to make these little markers, feel free. It's a very helpful way of gauging how big the shape is, just like that. Next, it was the head, and that's kind of an oval shape. Look at the distance. It's very important to see the distance between the two of these shapes. Also relate, where is the top compared to the top of the back? It's slightly higher and comes down. It goes a little bit below the horizon line here and then comes back up at an angle. Today I'm going to talk a little bit also about what's called flow lines. If you look at this angle of this oval, the angle is going about 45 degrees. It should match the angle of this. This line dissects the image, or the shape, sorry, and it gives you kind of the angle that it's going. This is a very useful tool in finding the direction of shapes. Next, I'm going to attach the head to the body here, as well as here. Remember, it's very important to see where a line starts and where a line stops. So if I look here, it touches right at the beginning of this oval and the bottom of the head. Next, I'm going to move on to the legs. See how the leg touches and starts right about here or here and goes down. And it's wider when it hits the body and gets slightly skinnier as it goes away. Now you'll notice my drawing is not perfect. I'm already seeing mistakes in it, but that's okay. We can go in later and kind of adjust, but I just want to get the simple shapes and kind of place everything kind of where I want it. Next, I'll go in with this shape and then the smaller. Then I'll connect. Now I already just noticed a big mistake I made. This needs to go at a much more angled approach right there. Then I can go in with the leg here. The back legs. Now one trick whenever doing legs, it might be helpful to draw just a simple line at the bottom where they all touch. That way you know when you're drawing it just to go to that line. So I'll get the back hind leg and then the soft rectangle, and finally the back leg in here. Next, I'm going to move on to the trunk. There is a soft triangle that goes inside of the head. A longer piece here. Notice the trunk actually reaches the same line as the leg. And finally the ear. Now the ear comes pretty close to the soft triangle in here. The head, I'm going to add a little bump in there, a little bump in there, and finally the tail. And there we go. That's a good start to our elephant. So to go any further, I want to see the full image here. So what I'm going to do is erase all of these lines so I can actually see the image and all of the details within it. Now if I compare it to mine, I realize I forgot those tusks again. Oh my gosh, an elephant isn't an elephant without tusks, right? But I can still add them in. It's not a big deal. What I'm going to do is start erasing any lines that I don't need. So I'm going to start inside here, and with this image, actually there's a lot of lines that I really don't need. So again, it's extremely, extremely important to draw as lightly as you possibly can. So I'm just going to erase these. Now notice how I left this line here. This is the front hind leg. So you will see the line here, but you do not see the line for this leg inside because it's hidden behind. Now I'm going to start adjusting some of these as I go as well. Like I said, my drawing was not perfect, not even close. Again, I'm just trying to find out where everything goes. I'm going to continue erasing any lines that I don't need, and I'm going to start thinking about any details that I want to add to it once the lines are gone. Some of the details in the elephant would include like the tusks, the eye, the ear, any texture. I'm going to get those tusks in now. They kind of fall right in here. The eye is about in here. If you relate them to where the tusks go, there's a little line that comes up from the tusks towards the eye. There's tons of little wrinkles everywhere on the elephant. We're going to work on those in a minute. But I'm going to get in some of the detail of the ear. Some of the wrinkles in there and the lines. Kind of separating this back ear over here from the head. You can start getting in some darker lines. I'm going to get in the little tail, the little hairs. You can even start adding some grass around the feet. That's what's hiding the feet in the image, all this grass in front of it. So you can kind of add some of that coming up. Have fun with it at this point. Remember, darker lines will come forward a bit. You can soften any back lines. I'm going to actually just raise this up slightly here. I'm going to erase some of that. And there we're starting to find a complete picture. Continue. You can color this in using markers, colored pencils, anything you have at home, and have fun with it. Just go as far as you want or as little as you want to your completed picture. Thanks for joining me today.